Good morning. I'm Paweł Trzaskowski and you're watching World News. The EU-U.S. trade agreement will impose a 15% import tariff on most EU exports to the United States. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the 15% rate would apply to most sectors, including the automotive, semiconductors and pharmaceutical industries. In addition, the EU has committed to buying $250 billion of American LNG annually for the next 3 years. The deal will also see $600 billion of EU investments in the United States.
If you look at our markets, it's a huge market, 800 million.
It's good for both.
And commenting on this agreement, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that 15% tariffs on European goods is the best deal with the US that Europe can get. Von der Leyen added that the EU is still purchasing too much LNG from Russia, which is why some of it will be replaced by EU imports of US energy.
15% is not to be underestimated, but it is the best we could get. We still have too much Russian LNG that is coming through the back door again to our European Union, and some Russian gas and oil still in the European Union, which we do not want anymore. We want to absolutely get rid of Russian fossil fuels, and therefore it is much welcome to purchase the more affordable and better LNG from the United States. And there, approximately, our estimation is that we can do 250 per year over 3 years.
Many European leaders also welcomed the EU-US trade deal. The Dutch Prime Minister calls the agreement vital for the bloc's economy, while the President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, said the deal protects the EU's core interests.
I commend Ursula von der Leyen, Maroš Šefčovič and the EU Commission's work in stabilising transatlantic trade. Determination and unity paved the way for a negotiated deal with the US, one that prioritises cooperation, protects the EU's core interests and gives businesses the certainty they need.
I welcome the agreement on a trade deal between the European Union and the United States. This is an important step that strengthens our transatlantic partnership. The European Parliament will do its part in analyzing the deal, ensuring it is in the best interest of European businesses and consumers.
The agreement reached by the EU and the US is vital for an open economy like ours. The Netherlands' annual goods exports to the US are worth over 50 billion euros. I greatly appreciate the European Commission's determined efforts to secure the best possible outcome for our businesses and consumers.
In Ukraine, explosions rocked the country's capital overnight as Russia launched waves of drones and missiles on multiple regions. As a result of the strike on Kyiv, at least 8 people were injured, including a 3-year-old child. The first air raid alerts were issued in the Ukrainian capital at 10:15 p.m. local time, and 15 minutes later, Russian drones started to strike the city. According to the head of Kyiv's military administration, Timur Tkachenko, a high-rise apartment building was damaged, among others. 8 people were hospitalized, with 1 in critical condition. The mass aerial assault caused Poland to scramble its fighter jets, as well as place its radar and reconnaissance systems on the highest state of readiness. According to the Financial Times, Ukraine will receive 33,000 AI-powered drone kits from the United States by the end of this year. This is the result of a new contract between the US Department of Defense and the US-German software company Auterion. The contract, worth nearly $50 million, is part of the US government's broader security assistance to Ukraine. The drone kits, consisting of compact computers, a camera and a radio, will supplement Ukraine's existing drone production. The kits can convert manually operated drones into autonomous systems, resisting jamming and track moving targets from up to 1 kilometer away. Another Belarusian drone entered Lithuanian airspace on Monday morning. A similar incident occurred on July the 10th. Local residents were sent messages informing them that police spotted an unidentified type of unmanned aircraft flying in from Belarus. The drone was spotted at around 200 meters altitude near the Vilnius area. Residents who noticed the drone were urged to immediately report it to the Lithuanian emergency services and abstain from approaching the aircraft. At the beginning of the month, a similar situation took place. In the incident, fighter jets carrying out the NATO air policing mission in Lithuania were scrambled. However, the flying object then fell and the response was called off. 3 people are dead and around 50 injured after a train derailed near Riedlingen in southwest Germany late Sunday evening. While the police spokesperson said an investigation into the cause of the accident is ongoing, speculation has arisen that the recent heavy rains in the country might have played a role. Around 100 people were on board the train when 2 carriages left the tracks. According to the Ulm police spokesperson, investigators are looking into whether the latest storms and heavy rains caused bank erosion, which could have derailed the train. Earlier on Sunday evening, the region was hit by a heavy storm with as much as 40 liters of rainfall per square meter. And this train accident in Germany left the local population in shock. As stated by one resident, they were cleaning up after the storm when they heard a loud noise. Upon reaching the scene, they could already see that 2 people had died.
So what we noticed was that I was at my sister-in-law's birthday party and a storm came, and when the storm was over, I heard the sirens, heard the helicopters. So we drove home, and there were already several sirens, blue lights, everything. At first I thought, I live right there, my children all live here. Has something happened to us? And then the police stopped me and asked me where I was coming from and where I was going. And I said to my home, so I asked what had happened. And she said there had been a train accident. It was 30 meters away where the train was. And then my son saw the train up there. And then the 2 of them went over there and they looked. They saw that there were already 2 dead people. You can say that 2 dead people were lying outside.
Political gridlock in Kosovo is causing patience to run out over caretaker Prime Minister Albin Kurti's ability to form a ruling coalition. The Supreme Court imposed a deadline to form a government which expired on Saturday night. Now there will be a 2-week interim period with a court ruling expected on August the 8th, which could call for snap elections.
Not even the 54th nor the 55th time were the charm for Kosovo. On Saturday, the parliament had 2 more attempts to vote on the Speaker of the Parliament, without which the government cannot be formed. Both failed. On the same day, a deadline to do so set by the Constitutional Court expired.
The immediate consequences are that we are in a state of suspension. So until August the 8th, deputies are barred by the Constitutional Court from trying again or from taking any other action that would lead, that has to do with constituting the Assembly. And this is in order for the Constitutional Court to deliberate and decide on next steps.
The public did not hide their dissatisfaction about the political deadlock, with one lawyer's displays of discontent ranging from this:
"This protest shows first the stubbornness of how those politicians are treating us like we're donkeys,"
to this:
"With this symbolic act, I'm trying to show that MPs have gone too far. This is too much."
After a few failed tries to have their candidate for speaker elected, Vetevendosje, Kosovo's acting government party, tried to form a committee to hold a secret ballot in May. But the opposition was not in favor. The deadlock has resulted in some MPs serving as acting ministers.
And the Constitutional Court has ruled that this is not something that is possible, according to the Constitution of Kosovo. So we have this legal deadlock where the government is not really able to act at the moment.
Which prompted the Constitutional Court to set the 30-day deadline to resolve the situation which has some pricey consequences.
We have the so-called growth facility of the European Union for the Western Balkans countries, where Kosovo has also submitted a growth agenda, and there are still two, if I'm not mistaken, two laws that need to come into effect for them to unlock the first money that would come their way.
Understandably, all eyes are now on August 8th, when the Constitutional Court is expected to clarify the way forward.
The most obvious one will be to instruct the president to call new elections. And the second one would be to allow or order, as it were, a secret ballot for the election of the assembly speaker.
With local elections scheduled for October 12th and now a possible parliamentary election, some experts even suggest that Kosovars may end up voting twice on that day. For TVP World, I'm Sonia Gatabishchan.
Serbia will not impose sanctions against Russia, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić said while responding to recent comments by Serbian Minister for European Affairs Nemanja Starović. Starović suggested last week that Serbia would consider sanctioning Russia if its accession to the EU is imminent. Serbia, an official EU candidate since 2012, has experienced a halt in its progress towards joining the bloc due to ongoing democratic backsliding and continued tensions in Kosovo. In an interview with the Austrian news agency, Minister Starović emphasized that Belgrade's current refusal to impose sanctions stems from economic necessity rather than loyalty to Russia. President Vučić, however, rebuffed the remarks, calling them careless. He went on to say that Serbia will continue with what he called the policy of an independent and sovereign state and will not sanction Russia. Albania's defense ministry has described the rapid spread of wildfires in the south of the country as serious. Officials said the flames are being fueled by strong winds and high temperatures. Wildfires have swept across the country over the past few days. Local media reported more than 20 fires erupted in the central areas. Across the region, similar conditions have also sparked wildfires in Greece, Bulgaria and Turkey. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is set to meet with US President Donald Trump in Scotland, where Trump is currently on a golfing trip. The two leaders will hold talks at the golf course Donald Trump is visiting. They are expected to discuss many issues, with UK-US trade deal topping the agenda. Trump and Starmer will also discuss their efforts to bring Russia's war in Ukraine to an end. They are also expected to discuss the conflict in the Middle East, focusing on an urgent ceasefire. And this concludes our news bulletin. Coming up, World Talks.